caught a vibe. Baby, are you coming for the ride? I just wanna look into your eyes.
Hello, welcome back to my channel and welcome to today's full guide to Lunar Living. If you are new here, my name is Amara and I am a yoga teacher and soul coach based in Dubai, and I host monthly moon circles. I also have an online membership which is called the Move with the Moon membership. We have tailored yoga classes and workshops around the lunar cycle, and I really truly am a absolute lunar lover. So without further ado, grab yourself a cup of tea, get nice and comfy, and let's jump straight into this full guide to lunar living. Okay, where to even begin? There is so much to share. Lunar living is such a huge topic, and this will be your beautiful intro to it, and there will be so much more that you can dive into, and I'll leave some recommended books below. But living with the lunar cycles is truly life-changing, and the reason for this is that I know for me, I wasn't particularly self-aware before I started living with the lunar cycles, and the more I began to tune into them, the more I began to tune into myself. And the reason for this is the moon has a huge impact on our lives. If we think about the ocean, the moon controls the tides, right? And we are roughly 70% water. The moon controls so much about the way we feel as well, and this is unbelievably huge. So where to begin? We have a 28-day lunar cycle, so roughly the lunar cycle is 28 days, and that's how long it takes from the moon to go from a new moon, which is nothing in the sky, to a full moon and back to a new moon. It's roughly a month. We know a month is more so 30 days. It's a little bit shorter. And this is just how long it takes to go through a full cycle, and it keeps going through these cycles. We have 12 of those cycles every single year, right? So at the beginning of this cycle is the new moon, and in the year of 2022 when I'm filming this, the new moon tends to come towards the very beginning of the month. It actually comes a little bit into the month before, but usually it's around the first of the month, roughly within the first week, we would say, or the last week of the month before. And during this time there is no moon in the sky, or there's a very, very small slither of a crescent moon within the sky. And the most useful tip is to say that the moon's impact is on us is very similar to the way it looks in the sky and how much light it's giving you. So during the new moon, the moon is almost non-existent in the sky. The amount of light it's giving us is very, very small, and that is the energy that's really moving around us, is this sense of slowing down, coming home, rest, reset, rejuvenate, be slow. If we're thinking about yin and yang energies, so masculine and feminine energies, soft and fast, hard and soft, things like that. It's a very soft energy. It's all about coming inwards, being slow, resting, resetting, cleaning your space, and it's a really beautiful time to come to this slower pace and really take time to be with yourself. The new moon, this is where it begins to get a little bit complicated, but the new moon is always in the zodiac sign of the month that we are in, or of the season we are in. So if you don't know, there are 12 zodiac signs, and you'll know this by whatever your star sign is for your birthday, right? Those seasons for your zodiac signs for your birthday are also the seasons of the moon. So for example, I am born in July, I'm a Cancer, it is Cancer season, it was the Cancer new moon last week. Hopefully that makes sense. So yes, the moon, when it's new, is always in the sign of the zodiac season that we are in, and it carries the energies of that. And every single new moon throughout the year, whilst they are all very slow and soft and wanting you to rest and rejuvenate, they all have a slightly different flavor depending on which zodiac season we're in. So for example, Cancer new moon is very much aligned with Cancer as a sign. Cancer is all around healing, nurturing, mothering, emotions, watery energy, and that was what the Cancer new moon was also bringing, and those were the energies that it was bringing with it. Okay, hoping you're still with me. From there, we move into, the moon has so many short phases that it moves through every single day. But to keep it really simple for you guys, when we move into roughly the second week of the cycle, usually the second week of the month, we move into what's called the waxing moon phase. And during this waxing moon phase, I need to put my tea down, the moon begins to get bigger in the sky. So it's almost on its journey to becoming full. And it takes roughly, if we say that the new moon phase lasts roughly 3 days, because even though it might not be the exact new moon at that time, the energies linger for about a day before, the day of, and the day after. Roughly 3 or 4 days is the new moon energy. Coming into the waxing moon, probably about 10 days of waxing moon energy, because we're moving towards the full moon. During this waxing moon time, we want to really be working towards our intentions, working towards things. So the energy of the moon is getting bigger, the light that it gives is getting bigger, and with the new moon, it was a beautiful time to set intentions, create new plans, create new goals. The waxing moon is your time to move towards them, to make progress, to be proactive. It's got a very fiery energy to it, and it's a real time to push forwards. And as I said, when we're thinking about the waxing moon, it really depends on what season we're in and what's going on personally within our lives, but it's a general theme that tends to pull us through up until the full moon. So the full moon tends to come roughly in the middle of the month, and the full moon always occurs in the opposing sign to the new moon. Always the opposite. So each sign has an opposing sign. So for example, the Cancer new moon, within the month of July, the full moon will be in Capricorn, because Cancer and Capricorn are opposing signs. So when we come to the full moon, it's in this opposing sign, the energy is heightened. So the moon is at its brightest in the sky, and it's at this time that we might have trouble sleeping, that we feel restless, that we feel like there's so much work to be done. The full moon is really a time when we're at our biggest and our brightest. So when we're thinking about planning things in, full moon's a good time to plan things, usually, especially if you need to be in front of people and being your highest and best self. The full moon is a really, really beautiful time. It's also a really, really good time to shift and release, because we've been working so hard to whatever it is up until this full moon stage, and at this stage, this is the peak of the energy. So we need to reflect at this point and think what is working towards these new intentions and what isn't working. And it's this process of really shifting and releasing, however you choose to do so. Some people may find that they need lots of rest because they just feel so energetic and they're always tired. For others, they may feel like a fiery release is needed. So for me, it's like a really strong yoga practice or going on a run or something like that to help really shift the energy that is being carried with that full moon. And yeah, the full moon, okay, when we're thinking about manifesting, the full moon can be a really beautiful time, but we have to be careful. Not every full moon is really conducive towards successful manifesting, whereas every new moon is usually pretty conducive towards manifesting. So the new moon is your girl for the manifesting. The full moon sometimes. It depends on the sign that we're in. It also depends if there are eclipses going on. If there are eclipses, we have to be a little bit more careful. So just keep that in mind. It's more of a sure bet manifesting on the new moon, but sometimes the full moons can be great. So for example, we're in July. The Capricorn full moon probably would be a really good time to manifest, because it's that hard-working, determined energy that could really push things forwards. Cool. Coming after the full moon, we move into what's called the waning moon phase, and this is quite a rough phase, but it's a phase where the moon begins to get smaller in the sky. It's making its way to come back to new. So within this waning moon phase, we will notice that our energy tends to dwindle a little bit, especially as we get closer to the new moon. However, during this time, it is still really important that we're still working towards those intentions. We've used the full moon to release, and now we're working towards those intentions we set on the new moon, and we're just keeping chugging along towards them. And yeah, notice that at this time, things need to slow down. And if you find yourself doing more and more and more coming into this waning moon phase, that's when you might find that you feel a little bit of resistance, because you're not honoring what you need within this time. You're not honoring the cycles around you when it's saying time to rest, it's time to relax. And then just before we come into the new moon once again, there's something which is known as the dark moon, usually like the black moon. This tends to happen the days before the new moon, And this is when the energy is at its lowest. So whilst the new moon has quite a refreshing flavor to it, the dark moon is a sense of real stillness, heaviness. This is when we're really thinking about wanting to spend time alone, withdraw, be slow. It's a really slow time, and quite often you will find you feel quite lethargic during that time, and it's absolutely okay. And then of course we come back round to the new moon. And that is a very quick intro to how the full cycle kind of works, but there are so many ways in which you can choose to work with this, and that's what we're about together now. Now that we know the rough cycle of how the moon works, there are so many ways that we can begin to work with this. So as we said, the new moon is a beautiful time to set intentions. It's also a lovely time to manifest. The new moon is a really powerful time. However, the most simple and life-changing way to live with these lunar cycles is to intentionally plan your life around them. And this sounds very high maintenance, and I promise it's not, but it gives you a way of being able to predict how you might feel at a certain time within the month, right? So when we're thinking about the fact that, oh, I'm meant to be having a big event during the dark moon, oh dear, I'm not sure that's necessarily the best idea. If I'm planning something, I might not plan it during that time because the energy is going to be quite low. Whereas if I know I'm able to plan my presentation or something to be around that waxing moon phase or the full moon phase, I know I'm going to be full of energy and feeling really motivated. And whilst this may seem quite tricky at first, there is a real sense of we want to go with the flow. And there are times in which we feel high energy and there are times that we don't. And this ability to live with the lunar cycles allows you to live a little bit more in flow. It allows you to honor yourself, allows you to honor the seasons around you and the way in which the energies are around you, so that you can slow down and be giving yourself what you need. Another huge way as women that we can work with the lunar cycles is through our menstruation cycles. So quite often, if we are not on sort of any hormonal birth control or anything like that, there is this natural ability for, and we don't know why because there's not enough studies on the feminine sort of menstrual cycles, but there is a thing, I guess, where we naturally connect our menstrual cycles to the moon. So quite often you will notice, and if you begin to track your own, you may notice this as well, that you tend to menstruate around the new moon time. Not everyone, but some people will. And the more you begin to live with the lunar cycles, the more likely you are to sync to the moon phases as well. I know this sounds nuts, but trust me, I have had clients and they have had huge breakthroughs with this, and they're like, oh my goodness, how has this happened? And it's all I can say is magic, but yeah, it's crazy. So this new moon time is very much around this period time, this menstruation time, and it's a time where we, as I said, are feeling really low, feeling slow, we're refreshing, we're ready to start a new cycle within us as well. It's very obvious that around this new moon time, this menstruation time, we don't necessarily want to be taking loads of pictures and have a photo shoot because we might not be feeling our 100% best. We're probably feeling a little bit low, we're probably feeling like eating lots of chocolate, if you're anything like me. So yeah, it's something to keep in mind. And then coming into that waxing moon phase, that's when we're making our way up to ovulation. So our energy is increasing, we're feeling a lot more upbeat, a lot more energetic, and this really mimics that waxing moon phase. And then coming up to the full moon would mimic when we ovulate. So when the egg's released, you know the vibe. But that tends to be when we're at our highest energy, we're feeling ourselves the most, we want to wear the cute outfit, very much full moon vibes as well, which I just love. And then after that stage, we come back down and we are coming again into more of the menstruation phase. And then that's through the waning phase. We're coming back down the other end of the cycle. And that dark moon phase, just a few days before the new moon, very much mimics, if you have PMS symptoms, very much mimics that time. So once you find that you are linked with the lunar cycles, or if you find you might be already, you notice the similarities are huge. Some people tend to link to the new moon very, very easily, and this is a real sign of fertility and real flow with that energy. However, I think we all feel this, that periods change depending on the women you're around, depending on what you're doing. And some people's periods will sync more so with the full moon cycle, and this happened to me as well. If you find that your menstruation is synced more to the full moon, this is really magical as well. It's a real sense of strength within you because you're feeling at your lowest while the energy is at the highest. They're so opposing, and it's a real time for transformation and huge shifts occurring. Whenever that has happened to me, it's always been through a time where I'm transforming, I'm growing, I'm integrating, and for most people it's the same. This sense of menstruation around this full moon is very magical, but also a real time for transformation and movement, and you will find that it will tend to move. So for example, this year mine synced with the full moon one month. It was very odd because I never sync with the full moon, and then it was back to the new moon again after that, and it's settled again now. And as with everything, right, this happens, but knowing this and becoming aware of this, because our menstruation is our inner cycle, the lunar cycle is a cycle going on around us, the whole world is cyclical, moving around. If you think about the seasons and the month of the year, it's all so cyclical. So when we can begin to work with this, it's honestly life-changing, because we are then able to, instead of being hard on ourselves, instead of being critical when we're not feeling our best or performing to the best of our ability, we understand why. We understand that, you know, it's the dark moon or it's the new moon, and I am doing something in the complete opposing energy to the new moon. So no wonder I'm not feeling that it's going as well as I wanted it to, or maybe I'm doing something within the full moon and I can't sleep and I'm ovulating, all of this going on. Well, that's because it's an opposing energy, and becoming aware of this can be so unbelievably life-changing. It really, really can. And I really do think that starting your lunar living journey is the first step to really transforming and changing the way in which you live your life altogether, and really tuning into yourself, which I absolutely love. So those are a few quite big ways now, I guess, that you can begin to work with the lunar cycles. And the more you begin to get the hang of this, the more you can tune into the certain signs that the moon is in. And each new moon, as I said, it's kind of like an ice cream shop. Each new moon has a different flavor. So like one might be strawberry, one might be banana. Banana ice cream is good, but rare. It's an odd choice for me. Anyway, yes, each of the moons have a slightly different flavor to them, and you can really use that to your benefit. And some moons, depending on your zodiac sign, so I really recommend you go and check what your signs are. The app CoStar is amazing for finding out your sun, moon, and rising sign. Important things to know, very important. Important things to know about your friends as well, if you ask me, but each to their own. But making sure you know your signs, and the more you begin to tune into this, the more you will see which moons are quite triggering and tricky for you, and which moons are really in flow with you and have you feeling very connected. So for me, I am very, very connected to water moons. Pisces moons, Cancer moons, all of them are very much me. This is because I'm a Cancer, my sun sign's a Cancer. I also know that I flourish under a Leo moon, I flourish under a Taurus moon, because they're also in my chart. I also know that there are certain moons that I find challenging. So the Capricorn full moon is coming up very soon when I'm filming this, and I know that the energies of Capricorn being very practical, determined, goal-orientated, very masculine and grounded and quite no-nonsense, aren't so much me. And that's something that I'll have to sit down. The organization that Capricorn has, that's a theme that will probably come up with for me throughout this time of the Capricorn full moon. And I know why, and I'm able to work with it and prepare for it, rather than finding myself feeling overwhelmed or not understanding why I feel a certain way. Honestly, it's huge. And then once you begin to work with all of these things in the zodiac signs and you begin to tune into them, there are so many beautiful rituals you can do around the new and the full moon. Honestly, so many. And each moon, just like the zodiacs, will be in a certain element, so water, fire, air, and earth, just like the zodiac signs. I'm really hoping this isn't confusing, but you can really begin to channel those. So whenever it's a moon in a water sign, swimming, having a bath, creating moon water are all really beautiful things to do. Also journaling, because water signs are very emotional. Whenever it's in a fire sign, fire rituals, so whether it be a fire gazing meditation, a fire releasing ritual, can be really, really beautiful. When the moon is in an earth sign, I really love to like create smudge sticks or play with flowers or create flower arrangements or cook with herbs and fresh herbs, and making different essential oil blends are all things you can do around a more earthy moon. And then the air moons are also really lovely. They're beautiful for your breathwork practices. They're good for speaking, communication, singing. There are so many things that you can begin to do once you tune into the lunar cycles, and then once you start to harness the energy of them, it's truly magical. And there are so many books that I recommend with this, and you can dive into this as much as you wish to. And within my Move with the Moon membership, we really dive into all of the energetics of each of these moons, and I also do an intention setting workshop with each new moon, because I set intentions at every new moon, and during that time I'm really thinking about which crystals go with the energies of this moon, and which rituals go with the energy of it, and what intentions I'm setting and what cards I'm pulling for it, which is just so unbelievably magical. And around the full moon, I always host in-person full moon circles here in Dubai. If you're watching this when it's been posted, I am actually hosting 2 online moon circles over the summer, again on the Move with the Moon membership, so if you're interested, pop along there. But usually I do those in person, so if you're Dubai based, come and find me at Moon Mind Magic. But they are just beautiful spaces to gather, and any sort of moon circle, whether it be a new moon or a full moon circle, are such beautiful spaces to gather for women, because women have that deeper connection to the moon and their intuition, and I just love them. I think it's a really, really beautiful time to create a community and gather together. It's truly beautiful. With that being said, I think that could be everything. I do want to recommend some books, and I will put all of the books below, but I will recommend a few of my absolute favorites. Lunar Living is a huge one. I think everyone knows Lunar Living. Definitely would recommend. Super simple, super easy, very bite-sized. It's super, super lovely. Another one would be Moon and Me. One that I absolutely adore is called Moon Spells. Live my life with moon spells. They work. Honestly, crazy, but they do. And I will put the rest of my recommendations below, because there are so many fantastic books in terms of yoga class. So obviously we recommend come and join me on the Move with the Moon membership, because I created it because I was looking for something like that. I really wanted to be able to flow with all of the moons and the energies, and I just didn't see anyone doing it, so I did it and created a space for it. So if you fancy it, come and join us there. There's a lovely podcast called Lunar Lover, which I adore. That's a really fun podcast. The lady who wrote that, who does that, is really, really great as well. So that is a really, really lovely, somewhat short, not that short, bite-sized introduction and guide to Lunar Living, and that should really give you the tools that you need to start living a life more aligned with the moon, and at the end of the day more aligned with yourself as well. If you enjoyed this video, please do let me know. Give it a like, give it a comment, or come and follow me on Instagram at Amara Thompson. Say hello, join me there. I absolutely love connecting with you guys, and I am so grateful that so many of you are now making your way to this channel. I feel like I haven't been that consistent, and you guys are still here, which is pushing me to become more consistent. So that is the plan. There will be weekly uploads coming, I promise. I'm saying it here because I promise. So yes, that is all from me. As always, I am sending you so much love. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you in my next video. I think the next video is going to be a vlog, because it is my birthday this week, and I think we're going to do a vlog. We're going to vlog. So yes, thank you guys so much. Have the most beautiful day, week, evening ahead. Sending you lots of love, and I will see you in my next video.